There comes a time in life when you stop and ask yourself, what is the point of all this? You chase success. You build a life. You achieve your dreams. And yet something feels missing. Something feels hollow. You tell yourself, maybe I need more money. Maybe I need more love, more recognition, more adventure. But no matter how much you get, the emptiness does not go away. Now imagine spending your entire life reaching the highest level of success, only to realize that none of it matters. This was the terrifying realization of one man. A man who had everything: wealth, fame, legacy. A man who was admired by millions, yet haunted by a single question: what is the meaning of life? His name was Leo Tolstoy. You might know him as one of the greatest writers in history. But what you do not know is that Tolstoy was not just a writer. He was a man who truly saw through the illusion of life. While the world celebrated him, he suffered in silence. While people envied his success, he questioned if success even mattered. He spent years searching for answers. He studied history, philosophy, science, religion, and found nothing but contradictions. And then, one day, he had a realization so powerful, so earth-shattering, that it changed his life forever. It was a truth so terrifying, so raw, that once you hear it, you will never see your own life the same way again. Leo Tolstoy had everything a man could ever dream of. He was rich, famous, admired. His books were considered masterpieces. His name was spoken with respect across the world. People looked at him and thought, this man has won at life. But inside his mind, it was a war zone. At the peak of his success, Tolstoy was drowning in a terrifying realization. Nothing he had achieved gave him true peace. He had wealth, but it did not fulfill him. He had fame, but it felt meaningless. He had legacy, but it did not answer the most important question of all. Why am I alive? What is the purpose of all this? And this was not just a passing thought. This question consumed him. Tolstoy described it as a darkness that followed him everywhere. He compared it to standing on the edge of a cliff, looking down at the abyss, knowing that one wrong step could end everything. He searched for answers. He turned to science. But science only explained how life works, not why it exists. He turned to philosophy. But every philosopher had a different answer, full of contradictions. He turned to religion. But even faith could not satisfy his hunger for truth. For years, he was trapped in an endless cycle of questioning. The more he searched, the more lost he felt. The more he achieved, the more meaningless it all seemed. Until one day he made a discovery so profound, so brutally honest, that it shattered everything he once believed about life. And once you hear what he realized, you may never think the same way again. What if everything you have been chasing in life is an illusion? Leo Tolstoy realized this horrifying truth at the peak of his success. He had wealth, status, power, love, admiration, everything that society told him would make him happy. Yet, inside, he was miserable. But why? Because Tolstoy finally saw what most people never see. We are programmed to chase things that will never truly satisfy us. From the moment we are born, we are given a script. Go to school, get a job, make money, build a name for yourself, leave behind a legacy. And we follow it blindly, believing that happiness lies at the finish line. But what happens when you reach the end and realize the happiness you were promised does not exist? This is the crisis Tolstoy faced, the crisis that every person faces, but few are brave enough to confront. Tolstoy searched for meaning in science, philosophy, and religion, but every answer he found only deepened his despair. Science told him, life is a biological accident. There is no meaning. Philosophy told him, meaning is what you create for yourself. Religion told him, have faith, accept life as it is. But none of these answers satisfied him, because deep inside, he knew that everything, money, love, success, would eventually be erased by time. Imagine a man who has spent his entire life building a sandcastle, only to realize that no matter how beautiful it is, the ocean will wash it away. This was Tolstoy's ultimate realization. Nothing you do will last forever. Everything will eventually disappear. So why even try? Why struggle? Why live? This question drove him to the edge of his sanity. He described his life as a cruel joke where nothing I do has any real significance. And for the first time, he thought about ending it all. Most people do not realize how close Tolstoy was to completely giving up. He wrote in his private journals that he could not sleep at night because the thought of death haunted him. He felt like he was standing on the edge of a deep, black abyss. And with every passing day, that abyss was pulling him closer. He even removed ropes and weapons from his home because he feared he might use them against himself. The man who was admired by millions was now fighting to find a single reason to keep living. And then, in his darkest moment, he found his answer. A realization so simple, yet so powerful, that it changed his entire life. A truth so profound that once you hear it, your perspective on life will never be the same again. Tolstoy was ready to give up. He had searched everywhere, science, philosophy, religion, and no matter where he looked, he found nothing but contradictions and empty answers. The logical conclusion was terrifying. Life had no meaning. But then, something changed. Tolstoy began observing the common people, the farmers, the laborers, the villagers, people who had nothing compared to him, no wealth, no fame, no great achievements. Yet they were at peace. They were not questioning life. They were not consumed by despair. They simply lived. But how? How could people who had so little feel so much happier than him? Tolstoy realized something that shattered his entire belief system. The meaning of life is not something you find. It is something you create. It does not exist in money, in power, in legacy. It exists in how you live every single moment. For years, Tolstoy had been trying to find an answer that did not exist. He was looking for a grand, universal meaning when in reality the meaning of life was not a destination. It was a way of living, a life of simplicity, a life of purposeful action, a life of serving others instead of chasing personal glory. This realization changed everything for him. Tolstoy finally understood why the common people were at peace. Because they did not waste time questioning life, they simply lived it. They worked hard, not for fame, but for the joy of creation, helped others, not for recognition, but because it gave their life purpose, accepted suffering, not as a punishment, but as part of existence, and most importantly, they were not obsessed with their own importance. Tolstoy realized that the more you think about yourself, the more miserable you become. But the moment you focus on something greater than yourself, service, love, creation, faith, the burden of life disappears. This was the secret that had been right in front of him all along. Happiness is not found in chasing more. It is found in wanting less. Peace is not found in seeking answers. It is found in living with purpose, even without all the answers. This was Tolstoy's ultimate realization, a truth so simple yet so difficult for most people to accept. Because we are conditioned to believe that life's meaning must be grand, that we must achieve something extraordinary to feel fulfilled. But what if the greatest meaning is found in the simplest things? Tolstoy had spent decades climbing to the top of the mountain, only to realize the real treasure was at the bottom, with the people who never climbed at all. Even after realizing this truth, Tolstoy knew that most people would never accept it, because this truth is too simple, too ordinary, too opposite of everything society tells us. Most people do not want to live simply. They want fame, wealth, recognition, do not want to accept suffering. They want an easy, comfortable life, do not want to stop chasing more. They believe happiness is always in the next thing, and this is why so many people remain trapped, because they are searching for something that does not exist. They are running after an illusion, and they do not even realize it. But those who understand this truth, those who accept it, they stop chasing, they stop fearing. They start truly living, just like Tolstoy did. Now that you know Tolstoy's ultimate realization, the real question is, how do you apply it to your own life? Because knowing the truth is not enough. You have to live it. But here's the problem. Most people will hear this wisdom, agree with it, and then do nothing. Why? Because accepting this truth means rejecting everything society has taught you. It means choosing a different path. one that is simple yet powerful. Tolstoy did not just talk about this truth, he lived it. And if you want to experience real peace, real happiness, real freedom, you must do the same. Most people live like they are running towards a finish line that does not exist. They believe, I will be happy when I make more money. I will feel fulfilled when I get recognition. I will find peace when I achieve success. But Tolstoy realized that happiness does not exist in the future. It exists only in the present. So instead of always chasing more, ask yourself, can I find joy in what I have right now? Because the moment you stop running, you realize you were already where you were supposed to be. Tolstoy walked away from his wealth, his luxurious life, and started living like a simple man. Why? Because he realized that happiness is not found in having more, it is found in needing less. Look at your life right now. How much of your stress comes from wanting things you do not actually need? How much energy do you waste comparing yourself to others? How often do you feel like what you have is never enough? Tolstoy's solution was simple. Detach from material obsession, and you will be free. This does not mean you should not work hard. It just means your worth is not measured by what you own. Tolstoy realized that the more he focused on himself, the more miserable he became. But when he started focusing on others, helping, giving, serving, his suffering disappeared. Because here is the truth. A life lived only for yourself will always feel empty. Real fulfillment comes when you contribute to something greater than yourself. It does not have to be something huge. Helping a friend, teaching someone what you know, creating something valuable for others. The moment you shift your focus from what can I get to what can I give, your life transforms. Tolstoy's biggest struggle was that he wanted an answer for everything. But the moment he stopped trying to figure it all out, he found peace. And that is what most people struggle with. They want certainty before they take action. They want to know the meaning of life before they start living it. They want everything to make sense before they feel at peace. But life is not a puzzle to solve. It is a mystery to experience. Once you accept that, you stop resisting life and start living it. Tolstoy was consumed by the thought of death. It haunted him, controlled him, made him question the point of everything, until he realized something powerful. Death is not the enemy. It is the teacher. The fact that life is temporary is what makes it valuable. The fact that time is running out is what makes every moment precious. Instead of fearing death, use it as a reminder to live fully, because one day you will take your last breath. The only question is, will you truly have lived before then? Tolstoy understood something that most people never will, that true peace, true happiness, true fulfillment is within reach. But here is the painful reality. Most people will never apply this wisdom. They will keep chasing things that do not matter, keep believing success will bring happiness, keep searching for answers that do not exist, and because of that, they will stay lost. But you now have a choice. You can either keep playing the game like everyone else, or you can wake up and start living differently. The difference between those who live with meaning and those who live in misery. Action. Now you know the truth. Now you see what Tolstoy saw. Most people will ignore this wisdom. They will continue chasing things that do not matter. They will stay lost. Not because they have to, but because they choose to. But you have a choice. You can either keep living the way you always have, or wake up and start living differently. You do not have to wait for the right moment. You do not have to find all the answers, because the moment to live is now. The moment to change is now. The moment to start thinking differently is now. If this video opened your eyes, prove it. Comment below, I choose to live fully. I read every comment, because this is not just a discussion, it is a wake-up call. Like this video if it made you think differently. Share this with someone who needs this message. Subscribe now, because this is just the beginning.